Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, 2 forest industry mills in Mississippi close indefinitely due to the low number of housing starts. 145 people will be out of a job.
We'll have highlights from the Mississippi State University Biofuels Conference.
In Southern gardening, fall mums. You can plant these or buy them already blooming for an instant cool season color display.
In the markets, high feed costs lead to some bankruptcies in the nation's chicken industry as cotton prices suffer due to the European debt crisis.
In the feature segment, Eubanks Produce Farms of Lucedale, Mississippi. This family vegetable operation is one of the state's largest, and it's been in business for 115 years.
We are able to identify the particular lots that are sold to customers so that in the event that there is a food recall on any produce that we've sold, we are able to locate that produce that may have been shipped to other customers and recall that as necessary.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
The continued malaise in our nation's economy has resulted in the shutdown of 2 more wood mills in Mississippi.
Leighton, 2 Mississippi cities, Louisville and Columbia, will be affected by the indefinite shutdown of the mills. Almost 150 employees will be out of work. Roseburg Forest Products said that it will close indefinitely its particle board mill at Louisville, Mississippi. The company cited weak demand, increasing raw material costs, and overcapacity in the industry as reasons for the closure. 80 employees will be laid off. 65 employees will be laid off down at Columbia. Georgia Pacific announced that it will close the mill there indefinitely at Sawmill. WDAM TV Hattiesburg reports that GP blames the closure on the low levels of new home construction across the nation. GP said that it will reopen the mill if market conditions improve. GP said the Columbia Mill is the only one of its properties in Mississippi that it plans to close.
The number of companies coming to Mississippi to produce the next generation of biofuels has turned a spotlight on the Magnolia State. Mississippi State University was already conducting leading-edge biofuel research before these companies arrived. But now MSU's annual Biofuels Conference attracts participants from all over the United States. To help biofuel startups to be viable businesses, this year's conference focused on business development and marketing. Farm Week's Amy Taylor reports.
Transitioning from research to commercialization was the main focus at this year's Mississippi State University Biofuels Conference. Sumesh Arora, Director of Strategic Biomass Solutions for Mississippi Technology Alliance, says it's crucial for energy entrepreneurs to be competitive in the business.
You have to be able to compete with existing prices of fossil fuel and other forms of energy, whether it's nuclear or coal. And once you can start getting to the point where you're actually competing on a price basis with those other types of technology, then you know that you have a place in the market. You got to look at the management team. Do they have the expert who know how to go out and buy the feedstock or the biomass at the right price from the right location? Then you have to have people who are the technology people who can make sure that the technology is working as best as it could be to make some money for the entrepreneurs.
Aurora provides an 18-step model to coach entrepreneurs and emerging businesses in making their ideas a reality. Glenn Steele, director of the MSU Energy Institute, says building a profit margin will take time, but the outlook so far is positive.
What we're surely going to see is that as these technologies become commercialized and they start growing in scale beyond the pilot scale operation, there are always reductions in the cost as you're able to raise the scale of the operation. So we're pretty confident that these products within the next 3 to 4 to 5 years will be able to be made at a scale such that they'll be competitive with liquid hydrocarbons.
In addition, Steele says MSU researchers, scientists, and engineers will keep bioenergy research at the forefront in order to create diverse fuel sources for the nation. From Mississippi State University, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
The United States Senate has failed to vote on House legislation on applying federally labeled pesticides. This inaction will require farmers to get EPA permits to spray fields where the water might run off into streams and lakes. October 31st marked the expiration of a federal court stay which delayed the start of the permitting process. The U.S. House had voted to change the language. This change would have exempted federally labeled pesticides from the permit process. The vote in the Senate, however, was held up by Democratic Senators Barbara Boxer of California and Benjamin Cardin of Maryland. It's believed that more than enough senators were in favor of the legislation, but Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid failed to schedule a vote to avoid the Monday expiration of the federal court stay. Now, the EPA says that it was not going to enforce the pesticide permits until next year, but this would not exempt farmers and pest control managers from possible civil lawsuits. Well, as summer plants turn brown, it's time to change gears in the landscape and add some color during the fall season. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman will show us how flowering fall mums can enhance the autumn landscape.
Just as the changing colors in nature signal the arrival of autumn, so does the appearance of beautiful flowering mums. Today I'm at Pine Hills Nursery enjoying their colorful fall mums. Adding fall mums, which is actually short for chrysanthemum, is a stress-free way to add color to the fall landscape. It's easy to see why, as there will be more flowers than you could possibly count. The selection of colors can almost seem limitless, from rustic earth tones to bright and cheery pastels. There are also a wide variety of sizes available, from 4-inch pots all the way up to 1 gallon and bigger. Choosing fall mums in full flower will have an instant impact for any autumn get-together or event. I like to select plants that still have tight buds and are just starting to show color. This increases the period of showy display as the buds begin to open in the garden. Always place mums in a spot that receives full sun. This will ensure the absolute best flowering. And never let your fall mums wilt. This is the quickest way to end the flowering show, as the plants will be slow to recover. One of my favorite ways of using fall mums is in containers in the landscape. I select a large plant and simply place the plant, container and all, into a beautiful decorative pot. That way there's no need to remove and replant from the original container. Adding fall mums to your landscape will create a color splash for you to enjoy during the cooler months of the year. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says the fall can trick us into falling behind on our watering. It may be cooler, but plants like mums still need to be moist to look their best. In the feature segment today, Eubanks Produce of Lucedale, Mississippi. This 115-year-old farm grows 1,000 acres of vegetables more than 10 months of the year. Time now for the markets with Leighton Spann. And Leighton, major financial problems, you say, for U.S. chicken companies.
That's right. High feed costs and oversupply of product have led to Chapter 11 filings. More on that. Also this week, the dollar index has a big influence on cotton. U.S. rice is impacted by ample world stocks, and rising bacon sales benefit the hog sector. A sell-off in cotton on Tuesday was tied to a rally in the U.S. dollar index, according to DTN. Then a weaker dollar by Wednesday provided a little lift to prices. However, mounting concerns about the European debt crisis weighed the cotton market down. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley provided some analysis of all this on Thursday morning. Well, the dollar index has really had cotton moving up and down this week, hasn't it?
It has been strengthening here of late, really putting some pressure on cotton prices, primarily due to the fact that we just export so much cotton. As the dollar rises, it makes our goods a little bit more expensive to our friends overseas, and that, as a result, puts some pressure on cotton price. And we've seen that take place over the past couple of days.
All right, this European debt crisis, that's the other big factor that seems to be really having cotton bouncing every which way.
It's having an impact on the U.S. economy, on the global economy. I think I mentioned this before. Cotton prices are much more sensitive to economic events of this nature, and much more so than our typical food commodity products. And so anytime we see events like this take place, it definitely is. Negative events have a much more negative impact on cotton than on other commodities.
What can we say as we continue to move through November, what prices may do here? I know it's been an up and down game this week on cotton.
Well, there's still a tremendous amount of uncertainty, not only regarding those events that you just mentioned, but also the U.S. crop, the global crop. Texas is definitely having a key impact on our U.S. production. It could easily see its production reduced by about 50%. Currently, the most recent report, about 40% reduction. Yield per acre in Texas down about 100 pounds an acre. So a tremendous, just as a result of the drought. Mississippi's crop looks better than it, it's improving as we are in the midst of harvest. But again, Texas, Georgia, two key states in the cotton industry, experiencing some drought. We could see some reduction of production there, and that could help bolster prices in the face of all this other negative news that we're seeing.
And we'll know some of those answers Wednesday, November 9th, is that crop report.
That's correct. It comes out.
All right, now we haven't mentioned China or export sales, but China apparently is a little leery over the European debt crisis. That could impact some of their decisions.
Oh, definitely. They are in tune with what's happening there as a result of just it's a global marketplace anymore today. So they're definitely keying in on what's going on there, and it's shaping their purchases.
Switching from cotton to rice now, analysts say this market took a hit at midweek and made a huge downside reversal. Poor export demand is reported to be offsetting a shorter U.S. crop, as well as the flood losses in Thailand. World rice stocks are reported to be ample, and traders say the United States is finding it difficult now to compete in the milled rice export market. We close out the row crop side of the markets with a sweet potato trivia quiz. Our question: how many sweet potatoes does the average American eat each year? Is it just over 3 pounds or 4.5 pounds? Could it be 5 pounds? And your last choice, 6.3 pounds. You'll find out in just a few more minutes.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar in the second part of the markets. Leighton Spann reports feed prices are putting some chicken companies at risk of bankruptcy, while cattle on feed supplies will be increasing by the end of the year. And the feature segment today, one of the biggest vegetable operations you'll ever see.
MSUcares.com is a popular website offering coordinated access to Mississippi State University's research and extension system. Now we have a Spanish language version of MSUcares.com where you'll find newsletters, brochures, and publications. Plus, you can view Spanish language videos on topics including credit, finances, and immunization. Visit MSUcares.com today and click on the En Español link for useful Spanish language information.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The 17th Piney Woods Heritage Festival takes place Friday and Saturday, November 18th and 19th, at the MSU Crosby Arboretum at Picayune, Mississippi. All sorts of traditional pioneer skills will be demonstrated. Friday, school groups can pre-register to come for $2 per student. Saturday, admission is also $2 for children, $5 for adults. A biomass and bioenergy short course will take place Thursday, December 8th. Location is the Grenada County office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. It's for landowners, businesses, or local governments interested in learning about the basics and economics of woody biomass energy. Registration fee is $35 per person or $50 per couple. You need to register by December 1st. We will have a link on the Farm Week calendar to help you. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now it's time for this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
As of the end of October, 3 U.S. chicken producing companies had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in less than a year. The latest was the Atlanta-based Kegels Incorporated. Back in June, Delaware-based Allen Family Foods made a similar move. And Townsend's Incorporated did the very same thing last December. The Drover's website describes the industry's problem like this: high feed costs coincided with stepped-up production, leading to a supply glut and plunging chicken prices. Taking a look now at the beef sector, tight fed cattle supplies have helped drive a strong market this fall. Analyst Elaine Cubb told Market to Markets there is not a lot of reasons to suddenly turn bearish on beef.
If you look at the consumer ability to pay, if we have the smallest cow crops in the United States as we've had since 1973, we should have the consumers as willing to pay for beef now as they were in 1973, which would suggest in 2011 inflation-adjusted dollars, live cattle prices could be as much as double as they are now. Right. Rather than $120, they could be $240 if we were going to have 1973 equivalent prices.
The leading product from the hog sector right now is bacon. The website meatpoultry.com reports sales for a 52-week period are up over 11%. Now, this includes a bump up in food service sales as well as at the retail meat counter at the grocery store. The latest research indicates that the average American now consumes more than 18 pounds of bacon each year. As for the broader hog sector, the latest cold storage report at the end of October provided somewhat of a snapshot of how this end of the livestock sector is faring. Analyst Virgil Robinson says the numbers were bearish. He described the situation to Mark Pearson recently on Market to Market.
Month over month, frozen pork inventories went up 10%. Year over year, they're up 20%. Need to sustain the export trade, clearly need to improve disappearance here at home. I think through the fourth quarter of this year, lower hog prices.
All right. Are we expanding the hog herd?
Slowly. Technology and genetics is improving that and making that possible.
And back to our trivia question before the new feature story. The answer is the very last choice that you had. Per capita sweet potato consumption has risen now to over 6 pounds. D is correct.
Time for today's feature segment on Farm Week. Farm Week's Amy Taylor reports on a family-owned business that has grown in ways which were unimaginable when it first started as a 200-acre farm more than a century ago.
Yes, artists. Located in Lucedale, Mississippi, Eubanks Produce now manages more than 1,000 acres of hand-picked fruits and vegetables, such as tomatoes, strawberries, eggplants, and even broccoli. The fresh produce is shipped around the country, and it's even sold to mega wholesale chains. Part of the farm is devoted to a U-pick operation during the summer. Owner and operator Alan Eubanks says the mission is to provide safe, economical, and healthy supply of produce to customers in a manner of integrity that honors their family heritage. If you get the chance to visit Eubanks Produce in South Mississippi, you can't help but be amazed by the story of a small farm that grew big in business. Alan Eubanks says he started the operation on acreage where Pat Eubanks planted row crops 2 generations ago. Today, he says the farming tradition lives on.
My dad, he was the one that got me started in the row cropping, and helped out with the watermelons, and he helped out with all the vegetables early on. And he runs the U-pick now. He's in charge of the U-pick, Charlie's U-pick. And my wife does all the office management, does all the bookkeeping and everything. And the kids all work at the U-pick during the summertime, so it's a real good training ground for them. Everything is hand-picked. We're very labor intensive here, so that is a big component of our overall success of the farm, I guess. Anywhere from planting to harvesting to putting down the stakes.
In addition to family effort on the farm, about 10 full-time workers and 250 seasonal workers have jobs on the farm, from planting to packaging to shipping. As with any business, seeking the right educational tools greatly influenced the success of Eubanks Produce. Mississippi State University Extension Service vegetable specialist David Nagel says Eubanks made good use of his education after graduating from MSU in 1992.
Alan Eubanks was a student in one of my first vegetable production classes about 20 years ago, and even then he knew he wanted to grow vegetables for a living. When Alan graduated, he went back home and joined the family business. We had several extension meetings with him. We took Alan to Michigan, we took him to Florida, we took him to California, we took him to Texas, so he could see how the big boys did it.
Nagel says learning from other operations is one of the most effective ways to develop a business. Eubanks says deciding what to grow on the farm depends on market demand.
A lot of it's market driven. We started out just developing local markets, and then we expanded into more retail markets.
Eubanks says he started slowly, planting a couple of acres of tomatoes and peppers, then expanded to harvesting and selling a larger variety of produce. Today, the long list includes bell peppers, cabbage, cantaloupe, cucumbers, eggplant, snap beans, strawberries, sweet corn, sweet onions, tomatoes, watermelon, zucchini, and broccoli. Produce is mainly sold in the southern region of the U.S. and a few locations in the north. Additionally, Eubanks' father, Charlie Eubanks, runs the 100-acre U-Pick operation, which is open for 6 weeks every summer. Allen explains how Charlie's U-Pick operates.
Bring your own bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and this year we were at $9 a bucket. People come pick whatever they want, mix and match. And it's a lot of families come out. Biggest crowd, I think we had about 2,000 cars come through the first opening day last year.
In addition, customers can also purchase pre-picked fruits and vegetables during the U-Pick season. David Nagel says the farm's diversity has been key to its success.
One thing the Eubanks have always done, even before Allen really got into the business, is they were diverse. They would grow several things. Allen produces pretty much all through the year and has crops coming off of about 10.5 months out of the year so that it's not all resting on one period of time.
Nagel says it is possible to be successful at only growing one crop as long as the farmer's whole income does not depend on that one crop. In addition to variety on the farm, Nagel says it's crucial to learn what people want in both local and large-scale markets.
If you're going to grow vegetables and sell them locally, you have to be very aware of what local people want. Allen is beyond that size. Allen is selling on a regional, if not national basis, and he deals with the buyers from grocery stores who literally tell him what they want. Allen is one who goes out and finds somebody who wants to buy something, and then he grows it for them rather than growing it and then trying to sell it to somebody.
Another essential part of the business plan for Eubanks Produce Farms is using the internet. Janice Eubanks says Facebook is a great way to reach customers.
We use Facebook on our farm to connect with our visitors to our U-Pick operation. We're able to post pictures as the crop grows to get them excited about coming to our farm.
In addition to Facebook, Janice says using a website is a necessity for getting information to customers, such as produce lists, harvesting seasons, and contact information. Janice also says a high priority for Eubanks Produce is to be able to trace produce after it's been shipped.
We maintain that traceability through our inventory system, and when we ship produce to customers, we are able to identify the particular lots that are sold to customers, so that in the event that there is a food recall on any produce that we've sold, we are able to locate that produce that may have been shipped to other customers and recall that as necessary.
Along with providing safe produce for customers, the Eubanks believe in maintaining a safe environment for workers. Employees are educated about operating equipment properly, and work conditions are kept clean and safe. Additionally, Janice says environmental conservation is practiced in packaging the produce.
We can pack our produce in recyclable plastic crates. We get those from the vendor, pack the produce after it's been washed, and ship that. It goes directly to the store shelves. The store does not have to put any labor into repacking into other containers.
Janice says this method cuts down on the amount of cardboard needed for packing. Another conservation practice is the use of underground drip irrigation systems to avoid wasting water through runoff. Allen says developing a thriving operation has been a fulfilling experience. However, he says it does come with challenges.
Probably primarily labor issues. There's more and more regulation on labor and just government regulation across the board on everything. Seems to be a more challenge, bigger challenge these days. Costs us more and more every year.
However, Allen says he and his family are blessed for being successful at operating a business based on strong ethics, integrity, and learning from others.
There's a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of learning curve there, big learning curve there. It was very challenging, but yeah, we're proud of where we are for sure.
As Eubanks Produce Farms reaches its 20th year in operation, it remains a good example of how a small farm can grow big in business. From Lucedale, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting. You can watch this story again on our Farm Week website. our Facebook page or YouTube. The website address is farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have a link to the Eubanks Produce website as well.
Amy, I was really impressed with the way that they pay attention to food safety. I mean, they can track their products, so if there was a problem, they can actually eliminate their products as being, you know, like we had with the cantaloupes here recently in other parts of the country. I was really impressed with that.
That's right, I was too.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our show next week, see what happens when an area or a neighborhood loses access to farmers markets and to grocery stores.
In the feature segment, food deserts. While they usually occur in urban areas, they can also spring up in rural settings. See what some communities are doing to help.
In Southern Gardening, see how to make your landscape attractive as it changes from summer to winter.
And we'll return to Poplarville for the annual Ornamental Horticulture Field Day. Controlling aerial web blight on azaleas and termite control were two of the items on that agenda.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.